Dinner and a Book is supported by the Rex and Alice A. Martin Foundation of Elkhart, celebrating the spirit of Alice Martin and her love of good food and good friends.
As German bombs fall over London in 1940, working-class parents Millie and Reginald Thompson make an impossible choice to send their 11-year-old daughter to America for the duration of the war, where they hope she'll stay safe with an American family. Let's welcome my guest, Laura Horst, to discuss Beyond That, the Sea by Laura Spence Ash. Welcome, Laura.
Good morning, Gail.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Where did you find this good book?
Well, I'm in a new book club, and we were looking around for books. We were asking our friends and family and looking online, and someone read the summary and said, what do people think about this? And we all said, sure, we like historical fiction, so why not? So we tried it.
Good. Well, I liked it very, very much.
I did too.
I might have done a little trimming if I were an editor, particularly in the midsection. But the beginning, the middle, and the end, they just keep you focused. And the comparisons between American life and English life during that period. And let's talk about what we're making. We're making food from that period,
That's right? That's right. And kind of from the book.
And from the book, too. So you're going to make?
I'm going to make blueberry muffins. There's a mention of muffins, numerous mentions of muffins. The mother in America is a baker, and she makes, among other things, muffins. And they spent some time in Maine, and so blueberry muffins with Maine blueberries.
Real small and sweet.
Today we don't have Maine blueberries, but
no,
we have Indiana blueberries.
Yes, and they're every bit as good. The first thing I'm making is an apple pie because it takes about 35 to 40 minutes to to bake it. And then in the second part, I guess I'm doing, what am I doing?
You're doing hot dogs because we are focusing on, well, they went to a ball game, and so why not?
They went to see the Red Sox in Boston.
Right.
And
then I'm going to make some corn on the cob, sort of the American,
very Americana
influence. Yeah.
So I'm going to get started. Laura helped me peel, but she did most of the peeling. Granny Smith apples. That's what I've chosen because that's what the recipe said. So I didn't choose it. And then I'm going to add some cubed ice cold butter, a half a cup of flour, a third of a cup of brown sugar, a little lemon juice. And I think that's it.
A shake of salt, I thought you told me too.
Yeah, a shake of salt.
Yeah.
Because we're using unsalted butter. And since these are all trimmed now, I have to, the apples, I have to put them in some kind of a fashion, don't I? Can't I just put them in?
I think you could do either way.
I could do
Depends.
Yeah. I'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And so you're going to start on your muffins? Is that what you're doing?
And I'm going to make lemon blueberry muffins. So I'm going to start by zesting this lemon and putting that in with the sugar. It's about 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And then I'll add that to 1.5 cups of flour and a couple teaspoons of baking powder. Then we'll do the liquid ingredients. This is such an easy recipe. I even made it with my young grandchildren this weekend, and they loved it.
I bet they did. Oh my gosh, I bet they did. Just a little. I didn't bring a real lemon. I'm not the purist you are.
Oh.
I'm putting a few drops in.
Well, I'm doing the lemon zest, so I'll have a real lemon too.
And Laura, thank you for peeling the apples.
Oh, absolutely.
So we have the brown sugar. We have a little lemon juice. We're going to put a dash of salt. And then we have all of these apples. And this, to me, this looks like a pretty small crust. But I guess I can do it one of two ways. I can either dump the apples in, or I can painstakingly
place them
in. And I don't know what the mother does, but she's baking all the time. The English mother, isn't she?
Yeah. No, it's the American mother is the one that's baking all the time. The English mother, if you remember, especially when they're in Maine, she's baking all the time. And she thinks that, well, that baked goods really solve a lot of emotional problems. And I don't know, I kind of have to agree with her.
I guess beating up the all these things you put in here, for me it creates havoc in my emotions sometimes doing pies. Desserts are not my favorite to prepare, and I'm so glad you helped me start the peeling of these Granny Smiths. I'm going to start with some kind of a pattern, and then I might just end up putting it on top, and then we'll sprinkle this stuff. No, we're going to put the apples in here. Let's do it that way. And so, but the American mother sometimes makes the muffin mix the night before.
That's right.
And so she's ready in the morning. Her kids are, well.
She puts it in the ice box,
yes.
I guess, and gets it
And
all ready.
she's ready in the morning.
Warm muffins right away, first thing.
That mother is always cooking, and
Yeah.
I think she likes it. It's her way of taking care of her children.
Right.
It really is. And so we meet this little girl.
Put that lemon zest in the sugar, and then
Let me take a look.
so it looks like, I mean, it
Ooh,
just sort of
smells
disappears,
good.
but yeah, it does. It makes lemon sugar, and then somehow that gets it more combined with the rest of the muffins.
Oh,
So
my
then I'm just
goodness,
gonna pour it
Laura,
right
you're
in
a
my bowl.
natural. Really, I'm going to put these apples in here and stir all this up. And this little girl is sent away. Her dad, well, the parents kind of blame each other.
They do.
The English people.
Yeah.
Like, you really wanted to send her away. I didn't want her. No, you wanted to send her away. And they are brokenhearted that she's gone. And the little girl, she lands in this family. It was amazing. They get along so well. 2 boys.
Right.
She's 11. One boy is 9, and the other one is 13.
So she's right in between.
And they are
yeah.
so intrigued by this English girl, and they her accent, and sometimes to tease her they'll put on an English accent, and they
Just
seem
like
to,
real siblings teasing
yes,
each other, right?
And they get to know each other very well. She fits in, doesn't she?
She does. You know, I think she starts out really quiet. I mean,
Yes.
I guess who wouldn't? You're in a brand new family. But it was a program that they had to try to keep their children safe during the war. So,
Well, they're being bombed
That's right.
every day. 300 bombings a day in London.
so can you imagine that decision as parents to try to decide your children are in a conflict zone?
Yeah.
What can you do to help them? Most parents are going to do everything they can possibly to keep their children safe. I mean, I think that's just a gut reaction.
Yes, and
Yeah.
so they're torn. But anyway, she does get to know these boys. She becomes an outdoor girl. The father teaches her how to swim. They go
Great.
up to their main cottage in the summer. I don't know if
It's
it's a
even on
cottage.
an island.
It's on an
They
island.
own, it's a tiny island that they own. This family owns the whole island. And she, like you said, she's from a working class family in London. And I mean, things are bad there.
Oh, very, very.
Yeah.
They don't have enough to eat. Everybody after World War II in London, in England, is skinny, very skinny.
Yeah.
You see pictures of them in this book. In any case, she fits in. She loves it. She learns to swim around the island. They get to the point where they even squabble together. She goes through high school. She's a good student. Back in London, though, what's happening with her mom and her dad?
Well, they're having really hard times because of the war, but also just their relationship
Yeah,
is
it's a little difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. They're working. The mother is also working. The father's working, and then in the evenings he's going to help the war effort.
Yes.
And so they're just hardly ever home together. And like you said, they kind of are blaming each other for her being gone and feeling jealous and sad.
Well, the mother in
and all
particular
that.
gets pictures or descriptions of the family.
Right.
The mother's sunbathing and baking, and she says, well, and here we are getting bombed. My daughter
Yeah.
went, and they're just having fun. She really gets annoyed, doesn't she?
She does. She does.
And
This second part,
Yeah.
I have 1/3 of a cup of oil. I add in my 1 egg, and then you just fill it up till the 1 cup line with milk. So you can kind of, if you have a bigger egg or a smaller egg, it doesn't really matter. You just want 1 cup of liquid. And then I'm putting in 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. And then I'll whisk this a little and then pour it into the dry ingredients. So pretty easy.
Well, as I said, I don't make apple pies very often, and I have too many sliced apples, so I'm taking some out. So please, if you have trouble baking pie, I'm with you. I understand. But I do have salt, and I have some brown sugar. Oh, and I'm going to put some cinnamon on top, and we're going to bake this for 10 minutes. And Laura, I'm going to have to give you a hand towel, because I didn't, and you might need this during the show.
That's fine. Sure.
So she meets the girls in school. She's very quiet. She's not an outgoing English girl. And I don't know, at the time they were all scared. They didn't have enough to eat.
Right.
And
right.
these boys do bring her out of her kind of sad situation.
They do. And she knows she has to go back eventually, but almost doesn't want to.
Well, after a while, she gets to know them, and her mother is angry back in England, and they just have so much going on, and her father dies.
Oh,
that's
was a
so
shock. Sad. Yeah, that is sad. So I poured those wet ingredients. Oh, you're putting your pie in. Great.
I am. Yes, because it takes a while. We'll see what happens. I may have to adjust it.
All I'm doing is adding these wet ingredients.
10 minutes. I need a signal. But we have to kind of close out this particular period. You're going to put those in the muffin tins and then put them in the oven.
Right.
At what temperature?
400 for about 15 minutes.
400.
So now all I do is fold in these
berries?
blueberries, and it's ready to put in the muffin tins. So.
All right, well, she's putting those in the muffin tins. We will take a short break, and we will show you the menu of what we are making. And when we come back, we'll talk more about these groups that took care of the children that were fleeing Europe. We'll be right back. We are continuing with our meal, Americana,
yeah,
right?
Great.
So you're finishing up your berries here, your berry muffins. Look at that.
That's right. I'm
just like ice cream, right?
Yeah, I'm just using a scooper to put some in.
So are you putting 2 scoops in each one?
Around that.
Yes.
Want to make sure there's a lot of blueberries in each one.
Oh, that looks so divine. And then you're going to do something special, aren't you?
I am.
And while you're doing that, I'm taking 4 American hot dogs and I'm putting them in a pan of hot water. Woo, am I ever.
I'm just putting a little sugar on top.
A little brown sugar.
Yeah, it's actually that raw sugar, so it's a little bit thicker.
Isn't that lovely?
And then there was a suggestion to
Laura,
just
she's amazing.
Put a little slice of lemon, you bite into it, and it's a little tart, but awfully sweet and good. And then these can go in the oven, so I'll just put them in with your pie. Is that okay?
Oh, be my guest.
Okay.
And I'll open it for you on top. So
great.
Mine should be in for 35 minutes, and yours for?
About 15 or 20 at 400. We're going to be mixing in terms of the temperature, but I think it'll work out just fine.
Yes, I think I'll even take the temp down a little bit. I don't want something to have a problem. So let's just talk about the fact that Millie is getting married several times while her daughter's growing up in America.
Right. Her father, did we say that her father died? I think we did.
Yes.
Reginald died. I'm also doing a really quick way to do this.
The American
corn on the
hot dog.
cob. I just use a skillet like this. Then I'll I'll turn it up a little. It'll boil for a couple minutes, and then I'll just use my tongs to flip them over, and that way I don't have to have a huge pot of boiling water,
Yes.
and it works out pretty
And you
well.
don't have to, my husband likes to keep the I call it hair on, and a couple of the leaves, and he's
Put them in the
he
microwave.
does the microwave, and then he's out, and then he has to take all that hot stuff off.
That's right.
This is how I grew up with it, doing it this way.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, we always do what our mothers did. I have brioche buns, and I don't know what happened to our
I
relish.
Oh, we'll get it when we're going to eat them.
I just don't
So
know where it is,
we-
though.
It's in the
Oh,
back
Becker,
here.
you,
So-
okay. Keep going.
I was just going to ask about what you thought about the two boys and their relationship with Bee. There's the two boys. One, William, is the older one, and Gerald is the younger one.
Gerald is like a puppy. He follows her. He loves her. He just delighted with her. William is starting to get a little bit like a teenager. He knows it all. He sometimes
Right.
is a little bit nasty to her, you know, like a brother and sister.
Yeah.
And of course, he likes the girls like him. And Gerald just follows her around. She adores him. Did you see it any other way?
No, I think that's exactly right. She also sort of she kind of falls in love a little bit with William.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, she's just infatuated with William. But then, at some point, all of a sudden the war's over. And then her parents call, and she has to go that
They send
very
her a
next
ticket.
week. They send her a ticket, and she has to go. And it kind of puts everybody in a dither because they knew she would have to go back, but all of a sudden it's right now. And she had been there for 5 years. She almost feels more close to the
English.
the American family than,
Oh,
and she
American.
doesn't know what her parents are going to be like. Her mother has gotten remarried. She doesn't know this person and has moved. So she's a little bit upset about going back, and you can't blame her.
Yes, because she's found a wonderful place in America. And she describes Gerald, what was that term? William is a wide open American boy compared to English. What does that mean, a wide open American boy?
I don't know. Maybe it's that he's easier to see what's happening or how he's feeling, or he just
He
does
lets
whatever
everything
he wants.
out.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and at that time, the English were much more controlling with their children. And you had to behave a certain way. And wide open American, you know, if you want to get angry,
That's
it's
true.
wide open. And so she has,
just move these over. See, they're just
you're
starting
doing
to
about what,
turn
3
color.
or 4 minutes on
Yeah,
each side?
just a couple minutes on each side,
Well, that's exactly the way
and it just
I
doesn't take much time.
There, well, and there's another interesting thing that happens. The boy's father, English father, is starting to play chess by mail with Reginald. This is before he dies of a heart attack.
Right.
And they're playing that way, and during the war,
Yeah, sending a
And-
postcard back and forth
with
with
their
moves.
moves. And somehow the mother doesn't know this, the American mother, and she's a little annoyed. And she gets annoyed that her daughter's going to parties in England and has new clothes, that the mother in England,
Yeah, the English mother. She's jealous.
she is jealous, and I'm saying you can understand
Totally.
a little
Can
bit what's going
understand.
on. And we're getting a signal here. These hot dogs are...
Are your hot dogs done?
Oh, I think they're done, yeah.
Yeah, and the corn looks pretty close.
So she has to leave this warm, open family, go back and meet her mom, and she's a little bit leery. And so she goes back to England. And then there's a big jump in the time. 6 years later, I think, we find out what she's doing. And nobody has visited back and forth across the ocean. And then William comes
That's
to
right.
visit her. And they did have a bit of a passion before she left England.
Yeah, or before he did, yeah. But
that's
he
right.
had to go back because his father died.
Yes.
So, and he kind
Ethan.
of talked about how hard this is with his father dying, and then all of a sudden realizes, oh, when you were living with us, your father died.
Yeah.
So he kind of understands how she's feeling. She shows him around London, and but he's going to go back and get married.
Yes, and she finds this out sort of at the end of his, well, pretty
Yeah.
much in the beginning.
Of his visit.
He and this woman are having a child, Rose, and they're going to get married. And of course, then what happens to
Well, B, she goes over for
Yeah.
the funeral. She gets to see people. There's a lot more to the story, and
There
it's really
is.
exciting.
And if you think she's going to end up with William, think again. She
That's right.
doesn't.
That's right.
She ends up with the younger one, and I think they always got along. They were meant for each other, but William was this daredevil, passionate guy. And sometimes that doesn't last.
Well, that's right.
But she and what was his name?
Gerald.
Gerald
Yeah,
Gregory.
Gerald.
They really do get along, and they have a nice life. He loves, and so does she, the English girl. They love the island,
In Maine.
and they buy
Yeah.
it back from the real owners. In the last part of the book, it's lovely, isn't it?
It's a great read. I love that the chapters are short. So if you're a busy person, it's a good one. You can read a chapter and move on, not feel like you don't have time for a long visit.
That's what I
a
like.
long
Some
read.
people's just like, I want long, developed things, not me. I'm too busy. Well, we're just going to take a break. We're going to finish our American meal. You are invited to join Laura and me. And we're going to have it in Maine, aren't we?
That's right.
We'll
That's right.
have you in Maine along with the corn, the blueberry muffins, the hot dogs, and the apple pie. So just take a minute, and we want to show you some pictures of some of these programs that help children, like the young girl was helped. And there were so many groups. There was the the group
Kinder Transport.
transport little children, age 3, sent by their German parents to be saved, and they went off in their little party dresses. And that story about the Potato Peel Society, these little kids are put in a boat, 3, 4 years old, sent to England for 5 years. So these kids had quite a life, I have to say. We're going to come back, we'll kind of wrap it up a little bit and think about it, but here are some pictures of some of these programs of children. We'll be right back. And here we are. We're ready for our American picnic. We're having the picnic for Bee or Beatrix. And let's talk about what we've prepared for her
Okay.
while she's been 5 years in America. Why don't you start with yours?
Okay, I made some lemon blueberry muffins, blueberry in honor of their time in Maine, and then we did a quick corn on the cob.
Good. And she liked her mother's, not her real mother, but her American mother's apple pie. So we have an apple pie. And of course, they've gone to several baseball games in Boston. And so we have some Boston brioche hot dogs. How's that?
Sounds good.
And of course, the accoutrements. And if you like this real spicy, strong, yeah, use that. But the all-American way, of course, is the red.
Ketchup
Red
and mustard.
ketchup, yes.
That's right. That's what you get at the ball game.
I'm so glad you chose this book, and I'd like to hear from you what you really liked in a special moment or
A
something.
special moment, I think, was when Beatrix found out that or B, they called her in America, she found out her father died. And she was very sad. And she said, I don't even get to go to the funeral. It just really hit her. And so she and the boys, unbeknownst to Mr. and Mrs. G, they left in the middle of the night and went to a chapel, and they did their own little service. together. And I think that was just a very touching moment.
It was, and young children that wanted to help Bee, and that was really very nice. There were moments that I really enjoyed, and I have to say I enjoyed the mother. I just thought she tried so hard to help this American girl. She probably tried too hard, but her husband kept saying, "You don't have to be with her when she has her bath. You know, just let her be." Now she's growing up to be a young lady. And but she adored the girl, and the girl adored her. It was a wonderful thing. And remember the title of this, Beyond That the Sea, comes from a line from Virginia Woolf's The Waves, a true statement.
Yeah.
So we are ending our story. Thank you, Laura, for coming, and thank you for suggesting such a good book.
Oh, this was a great time. Thank you for having me again. I always enjoy working with you on food and reading a book together.
Ditto. All right. Join us again next week. And in the meantime, remember, good food, good friends, good books, good travels make for a very good life. We'll see you the next time. Bye.
This WNIT local production has been made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you.
Dinner and a Book is supported by the Rex and Alice A. Martin Foundation of Elkhart, celebrating the spirit of Alice Martin and her love of good food and good friends.